Absolute Carnage, a story I've been told about over and over again for the past couple months. People have been recommending it up and down. It is the latest Marvel event centering around our favorite symbiote characters, Carnage, Venom, along with the Spider family. You got Spider-Man, both the Peter Parker version and the Miles Morales, and a whole bunch of other characters. This was the latest Marvel event with a whole bunch of tie-ins, a whole bunch of issues in the main series. And my thoughts on it may disappoint the big fans of this series because I was slightly disappointed with what Donny Cates did in this series. Ryan Stegman crushed it. I'm going to say that now. I don't want to repeat myself later, but he crushed it. So with the tie-ins, before the event even starts, we have Separation Anxiety, Symbiote of Vengeance, 2 prequel issues, and we also get Symbiote Spider-Man #1, written by Peter David, along with Weapon Plus #1 as well. All of these are prequel issues to the Absolute Carnage event, give us some background story. Separation Anxiety follows a family where a group of symbiotes has basically come over to take over this family and reunite them in the symbiote style. In Symbiote of Vengeance, we get to see not 1, but 2 Ghost Riders face off against Carnage, and we start learning what Carnage's goals are for this event. Lastly, in Symbiote Spider-Man, it follows an ex-judge who also gets involved with a few villains and Carnage as well. But let's talk about the main series. This was a 5-issue horror comic, they're calling it, revolving around Carnage. Of course, one of the most serial killerish villains in the Marvel Universe, slaughtering people left, right, and center. And there is plenty of violence within this book. Essentially what we get with the storyline, aside from the introduction on Venom and the symbiotes and what's been happening with the God Knull and, symbiote dragons and all that, we follow a plotline where Carnage is collecting codices from characters that at one point had a symbiote attachment. And with these codices, once he's gathered all of them, he'll be able to summon the symbiote king God Knull. So he's going around, anyone who's ever had a symbiote attached to him, he's hunting them down. And this is, like I said, it's supposed to be a sort of horror action comic, and the artwork by Ryan Stegman is definitely horrific. It's some of his best work ever, in my opinion. The colors are dark. Of course, the red is bold. There's a lot of blood, a lot of violence. We get to see a lot of cool characters step in. Spider-Man, Miles Morales. You get to see Iron Fist in there too, the Avengers, Fantastic Four. A lot of cool characters stepping in the main series, the 5 issues. It's, like I said, a bit of a disappointment because it felt more like an action book than anything else, just strictly action. Of course, there were some horror pages with some really gruesome stuff happening, but the whole comic to me was, it wasn't that scary. It's the Marvel Universe. For some reason, I can't see a horror title taking place in the Marvel Universe. Just seems too colorful for me. But we also have these Venom tie-in issues, of course, written by Donny Cates, issues 17 through 20, and they're called tie-ins, but they're pretty critical to the story. A lot of main event things happen within these issues. The artwork's solid. I did enjoy the storyline a little bit. It's cool to see Eddie Brock sort of becoming who he is now that he's got a son as well. There's a lot happening that I needed to catch up on, which is something I should also mention. I hadn't read any Carnage or Venom before this. I just got into this and thought, well, we'll see if I like it. So like I said, the Venom issues, they tell a bit of a different perspective from what's happening within the Absolute Carnage storyline. We see what's happening with his son, with Eddie's son Dylan, along with the Maker, who is also a critical character within the series, looking real badass. And of course, the Avengers step in. A whole lot of characters step in to help out and join the fray. We see some symbiotes that I haven't seen before, like Scream. And that takes us into the other tie-ins. We had an Indestructible Hulk, Immortal Hulk, Scream, Avengers. So many 1 issues, some are 3 issues, Lethal Protectors, Miles Morales, Carnage vs. Deadpool. These were 3-issue tie-ins that, added a little bit along with Amazing Spider-Man, but really they're telling it from a different perspective and how these characters are dealing with the situation at hand. Carnage does reference them. Hey, these are, my crew is out there collecting all these codices for me that they're going to bring back, and I'll be able to summon the God King doll. And like I said, I was really disappointed in this story because the way that climax is solved using violence, it's nothing very creative. And, the whole thing, by the end of it, I was expecting a really good payoff. But what it turned into was something we've seen in the past with other Marvel events. It's an event that is essentially leading to another event. It's cool to see flashbacks to Eddie Brock and Cletus Cassidy in jail. It's cool to see all these codices come together and how that affects Carnage, but the symbiotes have just gotten so crazy at this point that it's too much for me. I was a fan of Venom and Carnage to begin with, but this story really fell flat for me. There was a little bit of character progression with Eddie, but really it was just a violence fest that really is setting up a future event, and that's really disappointing to me. It was a terrible climax and a terrible ending, in my opinion, that really left me disappointed and not wanting more, unfortunately. But overall, we have an omnibus coming out that will collect all these tie-ins. The tie-ins are okay. There are a few good ones that show a real nice touch of humanity and how humans would come together against a force like Carnage. Whether to that's any avail or not, well, you'll have to find out yourself. For me, this was a thumbs down. I was really disappointed in the way the story was handled. It felt very actiony, a lot of powers being created and, new characters getting new powers and stuff we've seen before from Donny Cates, which I have been disappointed with in the past, including his recent Thor issues. But the main reason I'm disappointed is because I love his independent stuff. God Country, Redneck, Baby Teeth, they're all fantastic stories. It just seems like Donny Cates can't translate those well to Carnage. Granted, I liked his Thanos, but for me, Carnage was a big flop. Absolute Carnage was a big flop. I didn't enjoy it. What do you guys suggest I read to maybe start to enjoy it? Should I read his entire Venom run? What do you suggest to a new person who wants to maybe pick up Absolute Carnage in the new upcoming omnibus format? What should they read first in order to get a better opinion on the series? Please let us know. If you like this video, be sure to let us know with a nice like down below. We're posting videos frequently, so be sure to subscribe for more content on storylines, hardcover releases, official releases, solicitations, all that fun stuff. But let me know down below what you thought of Absolute Carnage. I'm very curious, and let me know what I can do to maybe enjoy what was happening here a little more. Thank you all very much for tuning in. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Until next time, you stay classy, Internet.